There is no reason to doubt A.J. Preller. He has been in these sticky situations before and has found a way to put a competitive team on the field.
Were there any questions, or was there any mention of like who they are looking at trading, or was it like Michael King, Dylan Cease are safe kind of thing?
No, he didn't mention any names, but I did hear Michael King say he would be surprised if he was moved this year. So he acknowledged that it was something that had at least been talked about. I thought the thing that we didn't cover yesterday was the type of maneuverability this deal with Michael King gave the Padres for 2025. It cleared about $10 million where they can have some space to maneuver. And I would say for a president of baseball operations like A.J. Preller, that's a nice, substantial amount of space to work with.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him use less money last year and bring in more players. Donovan Solano, David Peralta. You got Jerks and Profar for $1 million. So $10 million is like a ton of money for A.J. Preller to play with.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's been nice to it's like the first day of school. You know, when you're in school, you go back to school the first day. Everybody's happy to see each other. You haven't seen each other since the summer began. It's kind of like that on FanFest. A lot of these guys haven't seen each other in a little bit, although there's been a large group here working out probably for the last month. So although spring training doesn't start till February 12th, I'd say they got a month head start for a lot of the guys who've been shuffling in and out of this stadium.
Yeah, one of the things about this group that I think is pretty well known is that they really do like to be around each other, and they like to hang out, and they like to spend time off the field together, because I think they went out on a boat last night together, and they've been in town here. They did the whole thing yesterday where they went around town to different places, the fire station, Jack in the Box. So, I mean, the vibes on this team are good.
Yeah, vibes are good. Vibes are good until actual baseball has to be played. And then you gotta get off the vibes, and you gotta get to executing. You forget we've been all separated from the Padres for since those last two terrible games of the year in 24, and you kind of forget about all the things that makes you enjoy this team and why everybody loves watching them play. You start to remember when you hear them talk about the game and you hear them talk about their goals. Mike Shildt, speaking with the panel earlier today, talked about continuity. And, I know the other team up north has made a bunch of moves, but when you have guys who've been in the locker room and been in the locker room together for a long period of time, that holds a lot of weight. And so when you can have a guy like Manny Machado, a guy like Fernando Tatis Jr., a guy like Jake Cronenworth, a guy like Yu Darvish, a guy like Joe Musgrove, those are names that we have fortunately been able to see a lot of. Yeah. And that's not something that at least old Padre fans like myself can really remember ever really having.
Yeah.
Guys were here, guys were gone. Guys were here, guys were gone. Now, these guys are here for a long time. And with that comes that continuity that is really important to having success this season.
I mean, it makes everything easier when you have continuity, because you know what to expect from someone else. It's like if we were to just add someone to this show, it would kind of throw us off a little bit.
No doubt. And I think it also helps when you have to bring in new people. Last year you brought in the likes of a Luis Arraez, you brought in a Peralta, you brought in a Solano. Those guys are able to mesh well because you have such a big nucleus to kind of help them find their way in a new clubhouse in a lot of ways.
And I feel good about the team. Like, when I got here, I felt different about everything than I have the last few months, because this makes it real. And you see everything coming to fruition here for 2025. And I fully believe that this team is going to compete this year. There's no chance that they don't.
I have no doubt about that. It's tough because you can get caught up in the gossip that happens in the offseason, right? Because there's no baseball, we have to create news. And so what's news in the offseason? It's hot stove topics.
Yep.
Who can possibly sign? Who can possibly get traded? None of that is actually real conversations in most of the time.
True.
It's us driving that, and rightfully so. We don't have much to talk about. So
no, and I'll gladly drive it.
Yeah,
I'll gladly go that route.
And so a lot of times we got to have those type of conversations. But what you realize when you get back in the building is it's still humans. It's still guys who love the game, want to win for the city, and sometimes those things matter more than some of the things that are happening on the outside.
I want to ask one of them, either Joe Musgrove or Dylan Cease. I want to ask them about what is their first reaction when they see a signing, because I don't think that myself and fans get because when I see it, it's like, oh, come on, they got another guy. But baseball players are different.
Yeah.
They know, they're confident in themselves. They know that they could beat these guys.
Not only that, I think these guys, they know this is a business.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
and so yes, these teams are signing different guys, but that's just the business of baseball. That's going to happen literally every offseason. Someone's going to enter free agency. Multiple people are going to enter free agency. Multiple people are going to get paid that may or may not be with the team that you enjoy watching. That's just kind of how it goes. And it just so happens this year, the team that's, I think, most hated down here has been in the news quite a bit, signing teams, signing players, excuse me.
At this moment, I don't even care.
Good.
I don't. I'm over it.
Ultimately, you should never have cared because...
but you know me.
Well, yes, I do know you.
I can't not care.
You care about too much.
Yes, I do.
You very much
That's
do.
a compliment, Tony.
The other thing I thought was newsworthy today, Manny Machado said he feels 100% healthy.
Nice.
He came into the year really not even supposed to play in 24 until May.
Yep.
Started the year in March. DHing, playing third every other day, kind of mixing it up. Toddy, somewhere, he probably was hurt all year, but he didn't start to miss time until we got to that June, July time. He's 100% healthy. And so going into a year where arguably your two best offensive players are 100% healthy, that's already a positive that you didn't have the luxury of last year.
No, we talked about it in the beginning of the year with Manny. He struggled out the gate, and that was only because his elbow was hurting. And he wasn't going to ever say it to us or anybody else, but I can imagine this really being hard for him. Then his elbow starts feeling better. Guess what? He starts hitting. He starts doing everything.
It's not a coincidence that from July on, we saw an MVP caliber season from Manny Machado. He got healthy, and like I said, like you said, he'll never admit to not being healthy.
Yeah.
But it was clear that he got healthy. He took off, and typically, since he's signed on the dotted line as a Padre, when Manny Machado gets going, so does his team.
A couple years ago, we interviewed him in the dugout, and you were saying he's never going to tell anyone. Well, his ankle was messed up, right? So this was right in the rehab, and we asked him about the ankle. I looked at the ankle; it was purple, and he was like, "It's fine." Like, no, it's not fine. It's literally bruised right now, but that's what he's playing through. And Fernando feeling 100% is even better.
Yeah, no, it's probably been since 2021 where Fernando was completely healthy. I mean, and that year he almost hit 40. So. Listen, there's a lot to be excited about as it pertains to this Padre ball club. I know at times it may not feel like it, but again, when you're rolling out a lineup that has Jackson Merrill, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, I know I'm Jake Cronenworth, Luis Ariz, Xander Bogaerts, you should feel pretty good about your team offensively as they check those boxes every night.
I know I do, and I feel good about the pitching too.
You should. Listen, Yu Darvish, Michael King signed up with a mutual option. We still got Dylan Cease on this roster. I'm also really excited about some of the young guys that got a lot of time last year. Randy Vasquez, who I thought played a major part in the middle of the season. Can't wait to see him on the mound again. Waldron, terrific. At one point in the season, he was arguably the best pitcher on the staff.
He was keeping them afloat.
Definitely keeping them afloat. Looking to see what his sophomore year looks like.
I think people kind of forgot about Matt Waldron a little bit because he didn't pitch down the stretch and he didn't pitch in the playoffs. So, Matt Waldron, I was going through his stats the other night, and he, for the first part of the season, was so important to this team. And with all the time off he's had to train and to get better, I can imagine him going this year and doing the same thing, but maybe even longer in the year. Yeah,
that's certainly the hope and plan. All right, let's slide away. We may or may not have Joe Musgrove when we return, but until then, Gwynn and Chris on the other side.
turn this on. You got everything in your headphones?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's good to go.
All right.
Well, Dylan, I think the first obvious question, long hair, long beard, have you had a shave since the last game of the season?
I don't think so.
Man.
I don't think so.
That's great. That's
Why
great.
is that?
Just changing it up. Why not? You know?
Okay. All right. I'm jealous of the beard because I'm a guy who likes to grow a beard, but your beard, how long did that take to grow?
I think this is 3 months, maybe.
3
Now,
months. Okay.
is this going to stay as we get into spring? You going to keep it? Because I don't think I've ever seen you. I've seen the beard before. I don't think I've ever seen the hair.
No, I haven't had hair like this since I was 12. I'll probably keep it. We'll see how it performs, really.
That's the key.
That's
How
the
does it
biggest thing.
perform?
That's the biggest thing.
Speaking of perform, how you feeling, man? Obviously, spring training right around the corner. Pitchers and catchers report. This is the time of year where the green light goes on again.
Yeah, I feel good. Working on a bunch of different stuff. Biggest thing is really just getting the body to feel good and getting ramped up. But I feel like I'm on track.
How do you deal in terms of getting yourself ready each and every year? You know, ball players are notorious for always trying to figure out how to get a little bit better. You're probably one of the most consistent guys in our league. Is there as much a focus on finding ways to get better, or is the focus how to continue on the path that you've been on, which is a guy who can get in a lot of innings every year?
I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what part of the offseason I'm in and, you know, what I'm trying to work on. Like specifically this offseason, I've made a little mechanical adjustment, tinkering with some new pitches. But the bulk of it is just getting my body ready, really. I mean, that's the main focus, main priority. So I kind of know where I need to be in terms of like my velocity and bullpens and building up and all that. So I always like to think I'm adding. I'm definitely working on new pitches and exciting stuff like that. So at the end of the day, I kind of know that my four-seamer and my slider and my curveball are kind of going to be my main pitches.
Right.
So it's like no matter what, that's my base and foundation, and everything from there is just tinkering and just seeing if I can get a little bit better.
We're talking to... All of a sudden, my mic over there.
There you go.
Sorry. We're talking to Dylan Cease here,
Don't
Padres
panic.
starting pitcher. I wasn't panicking.
You look like you panicked a
I
little
was
bit.
panicking for one half.
He made me panic.
Did I look like I panicked?
You panicked a little bit, that's
all
all
right.
right.
Well, if Dylan says I panicked, then I panicked. I'm going to have to ask the question about, and I know you've been asked this today, but your name has been a part of a lot of trade rumors this year. I think Padres fans want you to stay here in San Diego. See, right there? How do you deal with that? Because I would imagine that would be hard.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's my second year in a row dealing with it, so I got experience now. It's just part of the business, I guess. Really, wherever I go, I'm gonna make the best of the opportunity. I love San Diego and I want to be here, so it's like if I don't go anywhere, I love it here. And if they trade me, then I just have to go make the best of it wherever I go.
Now, Dylan, you talked a little bit about working on new pitches and mechanics. For you, how long does a mechanical change take to be something where you don't have to think about it anymore?
Yeah, and that depends. This specific scenario, I'm working on an upper half thing, a glove thing. So I don't know. It's kind of new territory for me.
So you're kind of figuring it out as you go.
Yeah, but it really gets to the point where it feels good, and then from there it's just ramping up the intensity. And because anytime you do something at a higher power, higher speed, it's like a new feeling altogether. So I can sit and train it one way, but until I'm throwing 98 with it.
Doing it in game speed,
And a lot of it, is kind of like learning my body, and then I'll throw a pitch and it's like, oh, that didn't come out the way I wanted it to. Like specifically if I'm throwing a four-seam fastball and I'm trying to throw it just through somebody, but it's yanked, it's like, okay, something happened right there. I don't know, something came off. I didn't use my legs.
You could just feel something different about it.
And then you see the shape of the pitch. So a lot of it's just gaining feedback from what the ball's doing and then trying to manipulate my body to see like, oh, okay, when I do this, the ball goes this way, and just see if I can't ingrain that.
Now, the other question I have, you also mentioned learning some new pitches. I would imagine in 2025, with all the technology, it may be a little bit easier to get in the lab and create something because you have all of the kind of technology behind you.
Yeah.
Is it easier to learn a new pitch in 2025 versus maybe when you first came in the pro ball?
Absolutely. We got pitch design labs where you got cameras at every single angle, and
That's so
they see how the
awesome.
ball comes out of your hand. I've been trying to add I've wanted a changeup, not a real arm speed changeup, my whole career, and I'm such a I'm a spinner. I spin the ball, so usually guys who spin it.
You need to be a pronator in order to be a good changeup guy.
Yeah,
okay.
so.
Look at
Tony
with the pronator.
About it.
What is he, a physical therapist all of a sudden? What the heck?
Yeah. So I've been working on that two seam, just get something to go this way because my game is like very vertical. So get something going this way. Something that the more pitches you can throw for strikes and the more looks you can give batters, the better off you are. So it doesn't even have to be a 20% pitch. If it's something I use 5%, then I've gotten better.
Right. It gives the hitter another thing they'd have to think about.
Some guys have weaknesses where it's like, for whatever reason, they hit four-seamers at a 450 clip. They hit two-seamers at, a 210. So it's like, even if you have an average two-seam, it's probably going to be better to throw that than keep feeding them four seams. You know? So it just makes you more versatile.
Talking to Dylan Cease, Padres starting pitcher here on 97.3 The Fan from Padres FanFest 2025. And I'm always curious, when you're out there and you're pitching and you maybe hit a rough patch in a start, how much thinking is going on in your head? Or is it more you're just trusting your muscle memory?
I guess it really depends as to why the rough patch has happened. A lot of times, honestly, with baseball, there's just starts where your body doesn't feel good and it's not going to come out no matter what you do. It's just a grind game. So with those, I think it's just you just try to compete, and obviously there's always going to be, and a lot of it's in between innings. Now with the pitch clock, you really don't even have time to think.
True.
So a lot of it's just in between innings. Like, man, why? I'm bouncing my slider. Okay, maybe I need to aim it higher. And a lot of times it can be something simple like that. But most of the time, it's best when the thinking is happening in between starts as opposed to on game day. But there's always going to be a little bit of analyzing and trying to adapt.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, Dylan, we know you've had a long day, man. We appreciate you coming up and spending some time, and looking forward to seeing you get on the mound again in spring.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Dylan Cease,
appreciate that.
one of the Padre aces, joining us here, kind of giving us a little insight to what he's been working on all season, all off season long. This is a unique group of pitchers that we have here in Joe Musgrove, Dylan Cease, Michael King, Yu Darvish. Although Joe's going to be out, his mind's not going to be out. And these guys all feed off each other. Having a chance to be around them on a everyday basis, you get a chance to see what that continuity looks like when they're all together. Listening to them talk pitching, if you're a nerd like I am, when it comes to baseball, it's a fascinating conversation to have your ears in.
We're going to be joined by Joe Musgrove soon, as soon as he gets up here. But can everybody give Tony a round of applause for saying pronate? That was pretty good, Tony. That was pretty good.
I did play for a little bit. I got a little bit of knowledge, a little bit.
All right, so I'm getting word that Joe is coming immediately. We'll stay
so
right here.
We won't be going to break here.
We will not be going to break right here.
I don't know if you guys saw Matt panic when he thought his mic wasn't working. He was about to kill the whole interview right there.
Got their head going, yeah. You panicked. Oh, I have it on video too. I have it on video. Believe me, if Dylan Cease says I panicked, I'm going to go home and watch this and then work on it, okay? Because I don't want to be I can't panic in front of a starting pitcher.
Hey, it happens, man. It happens. It's all good. It's all good. See, this is what I deal with in the studio most of the times. When you guys hear us bickering one another, this is it right here.
In break, I'll just stand up and I'll be like, man, I can't believe I panicked in front of Dylan Cease. Both the guys will be like, yo, calm down. I'll have to take a walk, all this other stuff. But when Joe gets up here.
Oh, I can't wait till Joe gets up here.
I got to ask him or talk to him.
Last year, Joe called in our show, unbeknownst to us, and was ripping Scraby, fake ripping him. He was playing a joke on him, and his eyes almost popped out of his head. He was so terrified about Joe airing him out. So definitely going to talk to Joe a little bit about that. Definitely going to talk to him about how he's progressing in his Tommy John. I think he said earlier today he's about 2 months away from throwing a baseball again.
Wow.
But
okay.
Yeah, don't get any ideas. He's not. I don't think that means he's going to pitch in 2025.
I just put him into the rotation in August. Okay.
But it'll be interesting to hear from our guy Joe, the hometown guy.
Yeah, I love that Joe's here.
Yeah.
He's taking everything in. Dylan Cease answered the trade question perfectly, which is what I expected him to say. But I can imagine this being very hard for someone to just not really know about their future and their immediate future.
Just think of it in our cases, right? If there was a chance that we didn't know where we would be working tomorrow, we'd all feel a little uneasy about it. And it's no different here. I mean, I know these guys get paid a lot of money, but having to just uproot and move to the next city, it ain't all that great. I think Joe's here.
Here he is.
How you doing, baby?
Hey, Joe. Thank you.
Mr. Joseph Musgrove in the building.
Give him a round of applause, everyone.
What's up? It's not a bad setup right here, huh?
No, not at all. Not at all. How you doing, Joe?
I feel great, man. Yeah, really good. Excited.
I heard you say on the stage today, 2 months away from throwing a baseball.
Yeah.
What are those 2 months going to be like for you?
A lot of patience, you know. I've been working really hard, man. Been really diligent with the rehab. The strengthening stuff has all been, you know, right on par. I've kind of hit every checkpoint with ease. And that was something that was told to me early on is like, you know, really give it the time that you need on the front end. You don't throw for 6 months regardless. So, you know, don't try to go out and be a hero and get yourself throwing in 4 months. Just, you know, do all the rehab, hit all the checkpoints, and then, you know, maybe make up some time on the back end, you know, once I'm consistently throwing. So strength feels really good. It's just, you know, getting the shoulder moving again and back in like certain ranges before I start playing catch.
For those who may not know, I don't think it was ever going to be in question whether Joe was going to attack his rehab the way he has already started to attack it. This is one of the most hard-working people I've ever been around. But this is new territory for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you are a guy who I consider well-educated on anything he's about to walk through.
Yeah.
What was your education like leading up to surgery? I know you must have talked to a billion people. You don't leave stones unturned.
Yeah.
What was that like, getting yourself prepared for this surgery?
Yeah, I got a notebook full of pages of you know, conversations, phone calls, doctor visits. I, you know, vetted 3-4 different doctor options. Called everybody I knew that had, you know, had Tommy John. Called guys that had had it twice, and you know what the difference was the second time around compared to the first. So
this is your first, correct?
My first one, yeah. So I feel like I've done, you know, every bit of the homework that I could. I feel like I was as prepared and as, you know, educated on, you know, the process as possible. And now it's just, you know, putting the, you know, the lessons that I've learned from other people and their experiences, along with, you know, the feel and the trust that I have for myself.
We're talking to Joe Musgrove here on 97.3 The Fan. And Joe, last year you called into our show, and
yeah, there we go.
You played a prank on me, and it was a really good prank because my heart stopped a beat for a second, and it still does. But I appreciate you doing that. This is the first time we've actually been able to talk about it.
A little locker room talk. It's all good, baby.
I told him, I told these folks that his eyes almost popped out of his head when Joe got on that phone.
Well, yeah, when I'm told I can't come into the clubhouse, it's a little concerning, considering, you know, I'm not that crazy of a guy, but
no,
anyway.
You're good by us down there. You're
okay,
welcome
good.
whenever.
All right. I just wanted to ask you about the mental side of things, because it's got to be hard knowing you're coming into the year you're not going to pitch.
Right.
But you still have to keep working. How do you stay in that zone?
I think, you know, first off, it's a little bit of a relief. It's a chance to kind of step back from, you know, the constant mentality and approach of like being on edge and getting ready and prepared, and just the stresses that, you know, any ball player deals with on the day-to-day of like mechanics feeling out of whack, or as spring gets closer, maybe you haven't hit the checkpoints that you want to hit, or things aren't, you know, as consistent as you like it to be. So not having to deal with those stresses has been super nice. You know, I've been able to focus on life a little bit, got engaged, you know,
Congrats.
got a new home, made some moves. Yeah, so it's been really good. And I think, you know, once I had the surgery, I knew what was ahead of me and, you know, how long the road was. And, you know, it took a little while to get to a good headspace, but I feel like I'm in a great spot now. And, you know, I was saying earlier out on the stage, you know, I'm not claiming to be Superman, but I really believe in my ability to heal and, you know, my ability to, you know, to push my body and get it ready. So I'm preparing and shooting for a return in the postseason at some point. And if, you know, we're a month away from that and I realize it's a long shot, I'm completely fine with, you know, sitting out and, you know, preparing for 26. But I keep myself busy, man. I've really tried to be an extension of the coaching staff and, provide, assistance and help and, experience and, things that help these younger guys and, some of our guys that are transitioning to a starting role, help their careers grow. So, keep myself busy and keeping tasks, to have, at my fingertips, things to work on has been a good relief for me.
I mean, I think first you can have that belief when you put the kind of work in that you do, that your body's going to heal right, and just trusting it. You talked about being an extension of the coaching staff. I would guess that that's going to be even more so this year with you not being able to actually do the physical part.
Yeah.
Is there something that you've tried to do this offseason to kind of get you into that mode in terms of being that extension? Because the reality is, although your arm might be useless in 25 this year, your mind's not going to be. And there's still a lot of guys, especially the ones who may be vying for your spot in the rotation, that could lean on you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's my job to help prepare these guys the best I can. And like guys like Waldron, guys like Randy Vasquez, Johnny Brito, those are guys that are, have really good stuff and are not far away from, being, middle of the rotation to top half, starting pitchers.
Yeah.
So trying to share some things. That's something we talk about all the time in the clubhouse is like, you bring something to the table on the field, every day. That's kind of what brings you here and gets you to this level. But, days that you're not playing as a starting pitcher, that's, a majority of our days. You pitch once every 5 days. So making sure you bring something to the table is, something we always talk about. So even though, like you said, I'm not going to be physically on the field pitching, I got to find a way to contribute. And a lot of that's just been, better communication with the staff. And I'm really excited this year to be able to sit in more of the coaches' meetings and see how they game plan and how they, come about their approach to certain teams. And I feel like when I come back in 26, I'm going to have a whole plethora of knowledge and things that I hadn't experienced before to add into my game. So.
I just have to say this. I play with a lot of guys, and not all of them are going to take as serious as Joe is taking this part serious, which is getting into those coaches' meetings. Coaches are here a lot earlier than the players, especially during spring training. So the fact that he's going to be willing to do that, I think that's awesome, man. That's what separates you from a lot of these other guys out there.
Right. We're talking to Joe Musgrove here, Padres pitcher, 97.3 The Fan. And I have to ask from the fan perspective, because Tony every day on the show, whenever a team in the National League West signs a new big-name player, all of us fans are kind of like, why? And Tony says it doesn't matter. They still have to go out and play the games. When you see that happen, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different perspective as a player. Our job is, our goal doesn't change regardless of whether we add, and that stuff's, out of our control. So you never want to sit here going into an offseason saying, we're going to be fired up if we get this guy and this guy, and not if we don't get this guy. So you look at our team, and a lot of people see all the moves being made and don't see us making moves, and it seems like a mismatch in the division. All these other teams are adding, but you look at our roster, I mean, we spent a lot of money over the last handful of years and committed a lot of guys to be here long term, and the value in having those guys return every year and continue to build that relationship and that growth is every bit as valuable as adding a new free agent. So I think with the progress we made last year, and you guys will never understand how we feel. I'm sure you can see a little bit of it on the field and how we carry ourselves and, the camaraderie and stuff, but you'll never truly understand just how close that group got last year. And although we didn't, achieve the ultimate goal of winning the World Series, we grew a ton as a team. We grew a ton as, a unit. And I'm super excited that we got most of these guys coming back. We got the whole staff coming back, and we can kind of pick up where we left off.
Well, last one for me, because you kind of just hit on it, and I think it's so important. The continuity, right? This is, year maybe 3-4 of this nucleus being together. How much of an impact can that have on a team, having guys who have been in the locker room together for so long?
Yeah, a ton. And, Shilt's big thing is shared experiences. We got guys from all over the league, some guys that are new and have experienced things that most rookies don't, and some guys that have been around 10-plus years that have, been in championship locker rooms and been around the best of the best. So sharing those experiences with each other and helping each other grow along the way, not just, providing, assistance and, coaching, but like sharing experiences and helping guys grow a little bit through, what you've been through is a big, big thing for us.
Joe Musgrove, ladies and gentlemen, this is a good one we got here, man. Joe, appreciate you, brother.
Thanks so much, Joe.
Pleasure, man.
Quick healings, and enjoy the rest of your day,
sir.
man.
You guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Joe Musgrove, indeed, getting us through a tough time. He's
I got to make sure the cords are out of the way before Joe steps away. Whew, that was scary. Scary.
I got to tell you, always having a guy like Joe be able to come sit down and kind of explain kind of his thought process about everything regarding the team, I think it gives you a lot of better feels than you and I sitting here speculating all day.
I mean, it's not that I don't believe you, but I've seen you every day for like 7 years.
It feels like you don't believe me, is what it feels like.
Because I feel like you're in your own little world, but then when you're in your own little world with the athletes, then it makes me feel a lot better about it.
It is truly, it has to, quite frankly, it has to be a different mentality for those guys.
Yeah.
Because if it was dependent on who signs, who doesn't, pretty much everybody would feel like they don't have a chance to go out and play. These guys, they don't look at it through those lenses.
Yeah. All right. That was awesome. Dylan Cease, Joe Musgrove joined us here from FanFest. We are still here, section 113 at Petco Park. I'm going to be here till 4. Tony's going to be here till 3 o'clock, but we're going to take a break. And on the other side, we're going to hear from Manny Machado and Michael King on 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and Woods.
Padres FanFest 2025, 97.3 The Fan. How are we doing, everybody? Still got a big crowd here. We talked to Joe Musgrove. We talked to Dylan Cease. And I want to share a tweet that I got in the break from our guy Prolific. And Prolific heard the Joe Musgrove interview. And Prolific said, Matt Scraby having Joe Musgrove, or hearing him on the show today, and hearing what he said about them being a unit and growing together this offseason speaks volumes. Feel good about the 2025 season. And I can't disagree with that.
Sometimes you just need to put it back in perspective. We've been it's like the free agency is like the wild, wild west, right? So everybody's out there can sign, and you forget about the things that you already have that are really good, that are in your building. And so often you want the new shiny toy that's out there, and that's not always the answer. We actually experienced having the new shiny toy for like back-to-back seasons, and you kind of need it to gel. And I think the fact that the Padres have a nucleus that have been together, as Joe said, I think that's going to matter when it really starts to, these games start to stack up. Those type of things matter.
That's exactly what I want a team to be like, because when your back gets against the wall, you have each other's backs, you feel stronger than maybe you are at the moment, and so the continuity is a really good thing. Coaching staff continuity, player continuity, all of that.
The staff continuity, I don't think is one that we should gloss over. I mean, the fact that pretty much everybody from that coaching staff, from Victor Rodriguez to Ruben Niebla, I mean, all the way up and down, that staff is back intact. And you know who that makes feel comfortable is those players that are all coming back. They got the same staff. They're listening to the same voices that they had a lot of success with. Those things matter. And so ultimately we'll find out when they roll those baseballs out and everybody takes the field. But I feel good about, especially after listening to the guys today. They clearly haven't been reading the paper. They haven't been listening to. You
mean they don't receive the newspaper like Chris?
I didn't say they haven't noticed it. They just aren't absorbing it like the rest of us are, and that's important. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yes. I want to get to some audio before you take off, Tony. Frank, we're going to go with Manny. He was asked about the ownership dispute right now impacting Roki Sasaki's decision, and I haven't heard this yet, so I'm interested to hear what he has to say.
Do you think the uncertainty with ownership in the future, do you think that affected your chances of rookie at all?
I don't think so. I think he had his mindset already where he was going. That's just my opinion.
So you thought he was going to LA all along?
Yeah.
Did you get that time for one or two more when you met him and hosted him?
I just I don't know, just a gut feeling, I guess I will say.
Wow.
Right to it. There's no sugarcoating it. And listen, Manny is one of many that have expressed that sentiment. That and it's not just coming from Padres, so to speak. This is kind of a conversation that's happening around Major League Baseball. At least it's the feeling. I don't know that Major League Baseball itself is having a conversation, but the teams that were involved, you've heard that kind of rumor percolating a little bit that there's a lot of thought that the Dodgers had already had a deal done, or at least Roki had already had his mind made up by the time the process opened up. That's something I don't know that we'll ever actually have an answer to, but they don't. If that is the case, then none of this stuff that's happening on the perimeter really matters. You know,
I know. I didn't expect Manny to say that, but that's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Have you ever known Manny to kind of pull punches?
No,
yeah,
never.
He kind of
sounded like maybe not angry. He's like, I'm kind of annoyed by that. I took note of that.
I won't go that far. I'm not going to be a reader in his voice, octaves, and how that's going.
That's what I do. Is I break down people's words. Okay. Michael King. He agreed to a contract with the Padres yesterday. They're going to avoid arbitration, and Michael King was asked by the media about his feelings avoiding arbitration.
To deal with arbitration?
Yeah. Oh, tough question right out of the gate. No, I mean, I'm obviously really happy we got a settlement done before. Just the travel to go back and forth from Florida the day before spring training, but also just like, you know, it's a process that weighs on you a little bit, and I think that both parties are happy with the settlement, and now it's just baseball.
It's a structure that helps the team with cash flow this year. Is that something that you were conscious of, or was that part of their pitch to you?
I guess both parties. Proud of my agent for bringing it up. I think that it added some flexibility there, but still kept my value in a spot that I wanted it to be. So I kudos to both sides, and happy to get it done with.
Michael King, he knows. It seems like a guy who knows exactly what he wants, and he just goes and gets it, and then moves on to what he needs to do.
Well, I mean, listen, when you get to this stage of your career, if you're Michael King, yeah, you probably do know what you want. He's a year away from free agency. I think it was really smart on the Padres side and on Michael King's side to not only come up with an agreement, but also come up with an agreement that can help this team possibly get better.
Shows you a little bit about him, too.
It does. This is not quite deferrals, but because there's only a couple years involved in this, but virtually being able to structure this deal the way he did is going to give the Padres some space to be able to maneuver a little bit.
Like we said when we started the show, $10 million is a lot for A.J. Preller.
It is.
A lot.
He's proven that.
Yes. Final Michael King clip before we end for the hour. He was asked about being mentioned in trade rumors.
A couple guys in this team, I mean, yourself, Dylan, see some important players in this team, and your names are still thrown out there as possible trade bait. Is that something that's disconcerting? Is it something that you pay attention to, or is it just something that you accept as part of the business?
Part of the business. I think it's fun that, like, Dylan and I always joke around about it. You gotta obviously you're gonna hear it, but you want to just make fun of it. And we obviously have a great core group of guys, and if one of us isn't here, we're gonna be super excited to see what they can do on the opposing team. But it's just one of those things that we know we're gonna have a good team put together, and we gotta play as best as we can with or without whoever's in this locker room right now.
That being said, would you be shocked if you were traded? And is that something you discussed with AJ before you came to this agreement?
I guess, yeah, I would be shocked. But obviously anything can happen. I didn't think I was going to get traded over here that offseason last year. So anything can happen. I know that baseball world's crazy, so you don't want to make those plans and then the baseball gods are going to tell you something different. So wherever we are, whatever the team is, I know we're going to have a championship caliber team, and it'll be a fun season.
There you go. Michael King.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Michael King's going to be, if the Padres are going to make another deep run, Michael King's going to be squarely in the middle of it.
Yes.
And having a guy with some peace of mind going down the stretch, I think is a good thing.
We're coming to the end of your time here with us, Tony.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
We are coming to the end of my time.
I know you've been here a very long time. So
been
I'm
here
just
since 9:15
just
today.
Keep stretching it out. You know, we're not going to go to break until about 4.
Yeah, I'll be leaving you at 3, regardless of whether you go to break at 4 or not.
What was the thing that stood out to you today from FanFest?
Honestly, the positive energy that we saw when we were out there with Mike and Eric and AJ. It was nice to see people, have a positive outlook on what's happening here. It's very easy to get down in the dumps and be on the negative side of things, but all I've really seen here today is a bunch of people who have hope and have a positive outlook towards what's going to happen in 2025 this season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right, everybody give Tony Gwynn Jr. a round of applause. He is heading home. I will be with you for the next hour. We're going to hear everything that has happened today from FanFest, so stick with us.
Are you going to break a little early here? I'm looking at 2:53 right now.
Well, Adam said that the clock didn't really matter today.
Oh, okay.
So I'm
you're
giving
gonna
you
take
2 minutes off.
Okay, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Next
Thank
time
you,
he's got to stay 2 minutes later.
Nah. This is on your own deal right here. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, stick with us. 97.3 from Padres FanFest 2025 when we get back.
sports.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
With plenty of nonsense in between.
Oh, look! Here comes our fearless producer!
Gwynn Chris starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
Well, it is not Gwynn and Chris at the moment. Tony Gwynn Jr. just took off. It's Matt Scraby, Chris Ello in New Mexico with the Aztecs women's basketball team. And we are here at Padres FanFest 2025, just wrapping everything up. There's still a bunch of people on the field. There's still people in the outfield. And everything has been really good today. Everything has been very positive today. And that's something that I wasn't sure of when I came here. I knew that Padres fans are going to be out and about and cheering and doing all that stuff, but I wasn't really sure, with everything that's going on. So when I got here, it just felt like San Diego Padre baseball game. So it was really nice to see that and feel that and see all the fans and see all the players. And I'm not joking when I say, I feel better about things. I do. Because once you talk to these guys, you hear from these guys, and throughout the last hour, we're going to hear from more Padres players from their media availabilities. But when you hear them talk and you hear the confidence in their voice and you hear everything that you want to hear from them, it makes you feel better. And Manny Machado saying that he's 100%, his elbow is 100% good. That is awesome, because last year he came into the season not 100%, and we saw that. So this year he's coming in 100%. He doesn't have to worry about rehabbing up until the season or through the season. He's going to be ready to go. Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to be ready to go. He said he's also 100%. His leg is feeling very good, and that, I think, is the most important thing. Yes, Manny's elbow is very important, and Manny's elbow being healthy is very important. But Fernando Tatis Jr., his availability this season is probably the most important thing to me, because he has to play a majority of the games this year for this team. He has to be the guy that we all know he is. And I don't have any doubt that he's not going to be that guy. I think he's going to be that guy. I also have heard and talking to people that Fernando is, each year of his career, he learns more and more about how to prepare for it, which totally makes sense. And to me, Fernando is taking this as serious as he's ever taken it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do this year, some sort of MVP-type season. Now, last year, he came in, he hadn't played much in the years prior, but this year, full off season, healthy, doesn't need to rehab anything, and he can just focus on his craft, which he has done so far this off season. So we'll see him in spring training. Everything starts on February 12th. Pitchers and catchers report in Peoria on February 12th, and then I believe February 17th. The rest of the players are going to be showing up and in Peoria, and they're going to get underway. I have my guy back in studio right now. Mr. Frank Marchese is with us. He's been on the board this entire day, and as a guy who's been on the board for broadcasts like this, Frank is an all-star. This is not an easy broadcast. There's many different audio clips. There's many different talent to wrangle. But Frank, how are you doing? How are you holding up?
I'm doing great, actually. This is a get back to normalcy for me, because when I was working in New York, we would do, when we would produce on the weekends, it'd be 8-hour shifts, so we'd be doing 2 shows over the weekend. So this is back to normal for me.
This is okay, back to normal. Well, I'm glad that you're not feeling the heat like I did earlier when Dylan Cease was on the show. Because
you were feeling some heat there, bud.
The reason is because I spoke into my microphone and I didn't hear anything, and I'm like, oh, no one can hear me, and Dylan Cease is sitting right here. That was my head. That was my head just going, but it all worked out. What's the overall theme, you think, today from what you've heard throughout the broadcasts?
A lot of positivity. I mean, it's like I've been saying over the last couple of days when I've had a chance to be on here, is that you're not all that far off of where you were last year as far as your roster and team is concerned. You still have a bunch of good players. You still have a bunch of talented players. You're only missing 2 guys from the second winningest team in franchise history. There's really no reason to be down about this team, and I know it looks worse because of what the rest of the teams in the division, minus Colorado, have done over this offseason, but it feels like going into last year. There's a lot of hope. There's some expectation. Maybe that's come off a little bit, but it's feeling like last season.
It is, and that's a really good feeling. And I can't stop thinking about the continuity of things, because the continuity of things is everything, I think.
Yes.
I mean, you come into a season, you know what to expect, you know who you're going to be working with, you know what kind of goals and everything that the coaches are going to be setting for you. And coming into this year, and also, I mean, I Joe Musgrove's out, so that's a bummer. But I think he's going to be huge in the role of being a player coach this year. I think that he's going to be really big in helping some of these guys when they need the help. Joe Musgrove just seems like a guy who does whatever he needs to do to help his team.
I'm not all that concerned about Joe Musgrove being out as far as hurting this team's performance, because he was out most, if not all, of last year too. So there's really no difference as far as that's concerned. And you're 100% right with everything I've heard today. He's got manager in his future from everything I've heard today.
You know what's funny? I actually almost asked him if managing was on his horizon because of the things that he was saying. It was very managerial, everything that he was saying. And I could totally see Joe Musgrove being a good manager, a great manager. He knows how to handle people. He knows how to handle the media. He knows everything like that.
Either manager or pitching coach. It'll be one of the two. And I think it'll be back here at some point.
This is awesome. I'm looking at a little kid. He is here. Hey, what's up? What's up, buddy? He's all excited. He's got his Padres hat on. He's got his Padres jersey on. Now, one of the things about FanFest that I missed out, or, one of the things I missed out in my childhood, Frank, is I never came to FanFest like this. I never got to go to things like this. My parents I'm going to blame it on them. They just never allowed me to go to these things. And, no, I'm just kidding. We just never as a family did it. But this is what it's all about. Seeing kids here, seeing their favorite baseball players, wearing their jerseys, this is the baseball feels, and I'm trying not to be too sentimental, but this is baseball feels right now.
To those parents, if the garage sale is still open, get him a nice, authentic jersey that he can grow into. It'll be on the cheap now, because could you imagine? You think the Fernando Tatis authentic jersey is going to be a high price now? Wait until he can actually wear that thing. Then look at the price.
Wait until he has his MVP season after this year?
Exactly. Yeah, then look at the price of that same jersey.
What does the kid? Oh, the kid doesn't have actually a number on his jersey. But that's kind of cool. I know that one of my friends recently bought a Jackson Merrill jersey for his son. So
attaboy.
That makes sense. I mean, if you were to buy a jersey, Frank, of a player on this team, who would it be? I got to think. That's why I asked you first.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll get back to you on that one. But if you don't have an answer, this is going to be great radio for the next couple minutes.
I think I gotta go Jackson Merrill. I was such a huge Jackson Merrill fan last year. I think I got to go Jackson Merrill, because if I go Tatis, then, of course, Tatis is a good choice. Manny's a good choice. Joe Musgrove's a good choice. Jake Cronenworth. But I got to go Jackson Merrill, because he's awesome. He's living my dream. Frank is scrunching his face.
Give me a Dylan Cease jersey. I'll take one of those. I will definitely take a Dylan Cease jersey.
You'll get a Dylan Cease? Wait, hold on. You do know that there is somewhat of a, issue with that, maybe? Possibly?
Oh, what's the issue?
Hello? He might be dealt, but I don't really get the feeling that he's going to be dealt.
I don't care personally. I don't care that there's rumors that he could be possibly traded to the Mets. That's not influencing my decision at all to get him get a Dylan Cease jersey.
This is the Padres FanFest broadcast of 2025.
I had to. I'm sorry.
Let's keep those Mets out of your mouth. Just kidding, Frank. Ben Dime said, I get a Mike Shildt jersey.
That's
Rod
a good one.
said, Estrada jersey for me, 97.3. Frank wants a Profar jersey, I see. If you're on the chat right now, let us know what kind of jersey you would want to buy from the garage. I wish I would have came here a little bit earlier so I could have done the garage sale. I didn't get to go do it. I didn't realize it was happening until I got here.
They've done it for both the people that came in the morning and then for the people that they ushered in for the afternoon too. So yeah, they've done it twice.
So
today.
is the garage sale? I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. They just have a bunch of stuff lying out.
Yeah, they have a
Discount
bunch
it,
of.
and you
From
walk
what
around
I've
and buy it.
heard, it's a bunch of old stuff that they've had. Like there are some blue jerseys that were for sale that were still left over. Just stuff that they don't necessarily need. Stuff that no one's really claimed, so they're selling it. That's from what I've heard,
All
at
right.
least.
I mean, hey, you got to maximize things. If it's just gonna be sitting in a closet, might as well put it out for
Exactly.
a garage sale. We got some more jerseys. Gonzo says Shildt Z. JDS says Profar. I'm sorry to tell you, he's no longer with the team.
That just means it's a
says
cheap
you
jersey then.
garbage. Tom says Merrill. Terry says Dave Winfield. Hey, you can get a Dave Winfield jersey if you want to get a Dave Winfield jersey. I'm not going to stop you. But here at FanFest, awesome. All right, we're going to head to break. When we get back, we're going to have some more audio from what's happened today. Frank will be with me the rest of the way. And if you are here at Petco Park, stop by Section 113. I'll be broadcasting until about 4 p.m. And, yeah, that's it. We'll be back with some more Padres fun on 97.3 The Fan. All right. Matt Scraby back here with you from Petco Park. We are in section 113 meeting a bunch of Scrabinators. And you know what's even more awesome about meeting the Scrabinators is when there's Scrabinators that are kids that want to get into radio. That's exactly what a Scrabinator should be because, you know, I have been trying to find ways to get people a chance to see what it's like to get into radio. I was an intern, and so I worked for free for about 2 years before I was able to get a job with a fellow radio station, but I'm trying to do something so that the youth out there can figure out if they want to be in radio or not. Frank, I don't even know. How did you get into radio?
I am the worst person to ask this question.
Is it very complicated?
No. My uncle was used to work for something called Sports Phone. I don't know if you know what that is. It's
yes.
The Sports Phone basically was for gamblers. They would call in to this number, and they would just rattle off the scores, and that was it. He met some guys there like Don LaGreca and names that are big in radio now. One of the guys that he went to and worked at Sports Phone with and also went to college with at Seton Hall still works for WFAN in New York and might have slipped a resume in somewhere. And
hey, there's definitely nothing wrong with that because you are, you know, working your way through the system. I mean, that's how it is. And if you're out there and you're in high school or something like that, like really think about, I don't know why we're on this radio kick, but I met a lot of kids today that said they wanted to be in radio. So I want to talk about it a little bit. If you're going into college, see if your college has a college radio station. I would have loved to do that. I never got to do that.
San Diego City College. Hold on one second.
San Diego City College has a class?
Yep. San Diego City College has a class. They have a radio station. There it is. I don't know how I wear it on my keychain every single. Yeah, I know. KSDS, Student Delivered Sound. That's where I was on the radio airwaves in San Diego before I came here.
Wow. I actually did at Palomar College. I did a sports radio class with the sports doctor John Chalesnik, and I know he's still around. And it was kind of fun because some of the kids that I was in the class with, like, recognized one day. They're like, "Whoa, wait, you went from sports radio to like 97.3? What the heck?" But anyway, we're at Padres FanFest 2025. There are still a ton of people. Kids are running the bases. I was telling someone earlier, if you want to tire out your kid, take him to FanFest because they'll just be running around the bases. They'll be running around the outfield. They'll be doing all that stuff, and by the time you leave, they're going to be tired and they'll be asleep in the car. So that's what I guess that's the goal, right? To tire out your kid.
It's one heck of a park to play in. I'll tell you that. There's worse.
It is one heck of a park to play in. Look at it. It's like everybody's on the outfield right now, and I always like it when people get to step on the field because I didn't know that a baseball field is like hard.
Yes.
It's it's not. You think it's like your little league field. It's not even close. It's like it's basically like it's on plywood or something like that with some grass and dirt. But anyway. All right, Frank, I know you got a couple clips for us. Who are we hearing from?
Do I? I do have a couple clips. Calm down.
Oh, I was going to say. You got me. You got me.
All right, so we've had a bunch of interviews on the radio station all day long. This one is from Mike Shildt. And Scraby, you have been talking about it, and Annie and Elston spoke about it. The continuity and how important the continuity is. And here's Mike Shildt saying just that and how impactful it's going to be this upcoming season.
Been really blessed to be in another organization for 18 years. And what I realized and studied successful, sustainable, winning cultures as a part of one, establishing a continuity with that here. And it really is just that. It's the continuity of an investment in the people. You know, we brought our entire staff back effectively. Ruben, thankfully, has been extended. We match each other in our years together. Victor Rodriguez has been extended. You know, so that continuity allows for us to be able to, and we're just getting started. I mean, last year, our first year, we were getting after it, but we've got a lot of more meat on the bone, and us being together is only going to be able to grab that.
I mean, Mike Shildt, he says all the right things because he believes all the right things.
Yep.
I mean, he said it. He had 18 years of experience with the St. Louis Cardinals. If I want a manager to go through manager school, probably want them to go to St. Louis Cardinals because they have that legendary kind of way that they have, and they were winners for so long. And so he was there during all of that. He's won a Manager of the Year. And so having him come back, I think, when Bob Melvin was here, I think we thought we found the guy. But once Mike Shildt took over, I think we really knew that he was the guy for this team. Not saying that Bob Melvin is a bad person or manager, but he just wasn't the right guy for this team. They needed someone that's able to kind of stand up to them, and they needed someone who's going to, in the press conferences, defend your honor with the writers, like the whole thing with the roller coaster. He would not get into the roller coaster. And I think players really appreciate that because he's taking some of the pressure off of them.
Oh, absolutely. And it's so hard. Well, it's so easy, I should say, to I lost my train of thought. It's so easy to just say, fire the coach, fire the manager.
Oh, it's not so easy. It's not so easy to be there, huh?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's so easy to just say, oh, fire the manager, fire the coach, get rid of this guy, get rid of that guy. But if you look at it in football, the quarterbacks that never develop always have, they have a different head coach every single year. They're having to learn a new offense every single year or every 2 years. It's the same way with managers. To learn a different way, to learn a different style under a new manager every single year or every 2 years, it's exhausting. It's not good for your growth as a player and as a person at all. It's just, it makes everything harder when you don't have some level of consistency coming from the top.
I mean, think about it. If you go to your job, wherever that may be, if it's an office building or whatever, when you go to your job, you know what your boss expects. You sit down, you do your work, you know everything that you need to get done, and then you can leave. When there's a new boss in town, you have to figure out what that boss wants. You have to figure out, how hard do I actually need to work at work, or can I do this stuff at home type of thing. And so there is a lot of, I guess the good feels can come from the continuity, and Mike Shildt definitely bringing that back. And I'm happy that they made it a point of emphasis to bring back the coaching staff from last year, because they did have that success. And Joe Musgrove told us earlier that from the outside, we didn't really know how close that team got, but they were incredibly close, and they themselves believed that they could have won the World Series last year. Obviously, it didn't go their way, but I like that. And that's the continuity we're talking about. Those good feelings are going to be going to carry over to this year, and they're going to be able to hopefully capitalize on it.
Absolutely. And speaking of good feelings, Jackson Merrill was on with Annie and Elston before. I love when you do an interview and you get an answer that you just don't expect. Sometimes it's really fun. It could be really awkward sometimes, but when you get that answer, a different answer from the normal status quo baseball answer. Andy Heilbrunn asked Jackson Merrill about last year and what surprised him the most about last year, and this is what Jackson's answer was.
How easy it is to make friends.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of these guys are older than me. They're around the age of 30, they're mid-20s, upper 20s to 30, and my brother is around the same age as them, so I kind of grew up with them my entire life. That same age range has made it a lot easier to make friends and make a new family, but it gave me time to build new relationships, not just meet them and know their name and know they're my teammate, but to know that they care about me as much as I care about them is huge.
What an answer.
I mean, this is why I wanted a Jackson Merrill jersey. Come on. I mean, how can you not love this guy? He's living everyone's dream. He gets to be 21, 22 years old, he was the Rookie of the Year in my mind.
Yes.
He got schemed. That's kind of a weird way to put that, so I probably won't say that again. But Jackson Merrill, I mean, see? We've been talking continuity. There you go. He says he loves making friends with all the guys on the team. I love that. Jackson Merrill can do no wrong in my book.
No, it was.
I just dropped my pen that no one could see.
For the 20,000th time today from what you've said over the
No,
break
I mean,
as well.
I dropped it made a point,
okay.
Boom.
Gotcha. But yeah, that's something you never hear from any player is just, oh yeah, making friends is actually a lot easier than I thought. It's just that side of baseball that no one really ever thinks about, but when you hear someone bring it up, it's like, oh wow, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, that is. And Jackson Merrill's going to come into this year playing center field now. Now he's actually got like a full season under his belt. Last year, going into spring training, he didn't even know he was going to be in center field till about halfway through, and then he figured out how to play center field on the fly during a Major League Baseball season, which is not easy in any sort of stretch of the imagination. I just have a feeling like the one thing that we were talking about projections earlier this week in Fangraphs, and they projected him to hit 25 home runs this year, and he hit 24 home runs, I believe, last year. So I guess going into this year, I'm not sure how much power he actually has, if he's able to hit the same amount or go above of what he did last year. But I got to believe that he's going to be as close to what he was last year, just based upon what we know about him and what he says about his offseason.
If you got the same year from Jackson Merrill this year that you got last year, give or take a couple home runs, give or take a couple RBIs, would you be all that upset? I absolutely would not be. I think it would be a great second season, avoiding the sophomore slump, just staying on a consistent level. Of course, at some point you'd hope for it to grow, but to get another season like he had last year, you couldn't really ask for much more.
I mean, why not go for the MVP this year? I guess I already said Fernando's going to win MVP, so I won't put that pressure on him. Maybe he'll be like Offensive Player of the Year or something. I don't know. All right, Matt Scraby, Frank Marchese here at Petco Park, or I'm here at Petco Park. Frank is holding it down back in the studio, doing an amazing job. Been here since 10 a.m. We still have some more players to hear from. We still have some more audio to play. This is all winding down here, so we're going to take you home here in the last half hour on 97.3 The Fan. Matt Scraby here at Petco Park. Frank Marchese back in studio. We are winding down from FanFest 2025. This has been awesome. All of the different food places were open today. I saw some of the new food places, and fans all have smiles on their faces here at Petco Park. So a successful day for Padres FanFest, and everything's been very, very good. Frank's been back on the board since 10 a.m., so when you think about today's broadcast, make sure you think about Frank. It wouldn't be possible without Mr. Marchese. Right, Mr. Marchese?
I appreciate the love and support, but honestly, I'd much rather be there hanging
You'd
with
much
you.
rather be here?
I'd much rather be there hanging with you guys.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, like I said, I am very fortunate to be here because I did the studio thing for a long time. Frank is going to get out here. He's going to. I'm going to make it happen, everybody. I'm going to make it happen. All right, I think what we'll do now is there were some interviews earlier in the day. Ben and Woods were on from 10 to noon. They had Jake Cronenworth on their show, and he was on bright and early in the morning. And I didn't get to hear this yet, so I want to hear what Jake has to say because we've talked, Frank, about Jake Cronenworth, and I think that he had a better season last year than people give him credit for. I think that there was obviously certain times that, he struggled, but what player doesn't? But for the most part, I think he did pretty well last year. He had 80 RBIs, 17 home runs, stuff like that.
Yeah, certainly had a very solid season. I thought his glove was a lot better than his bat for a vast majority of the season last year, but it did have a very solid season. It was a step up from 2023, and hopefully going back to second base this year will help him out.
Yeah, it will help him. I think it will. I mean, he's more comfortable at second base. But, all right, without further ado, Ben and Woods with Jake Cronenworth from earlier today.
All right, Croney is here. Is he live?
Yeah, we got his mic on. Yep, the crowd is gathered around our booth here at Section 113 as we welcome Jake Cronenworth of the San Diego Padres here at FanFest. Jake, welcome back. It's been a fun off season for you. Congratulations on the wedding, and it's good to see you. How you doing?
Doing great. Married guy now.
Married guy now. Did you get our gift?
This got lost in the mail.
It's not lost. It was shipped yesterday. We sent you a gift.
Okay.
All right. So you check with your wife. See, did I get something?
Okay.
We sent you. Should I just break this right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's a serving bowl, and it's from Ben and Woods. It was
Another
on
one.
You got the other one.
I have a lot of serving bowls.
So we thought, hey man, we got to take care of one of our favorites. He's always been good to us.
So every time you serve something, we want you to think of Ben and Woods in the future.
It better distinct itself from all the others.
It's for real. For real.
Is it a custom Ben and Woods one?
No, it's not custom. But I'll give you a sticker to put on top of it if you really want to class it up a little bit. But Jake Cronenworth joins us now. Your wedding looked amazing. I guess our invites did get lost in the mail for that. Honeymoon also looked amazing. Again, no invite there for the honeymoon, but it looked like a blast, man.
Yeah, lost in the mail.
Lost in the mail.
That's all right.
Was it awesome?
Yeah, it was incredible. Family, friends, man, it couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah, live band, dancing, a lot of fun. Did you have to learn any dances or anything for your wedding? I know some couples take classes.
Not really. We did not take any classes.
Okay.
You got off easy, bro.
No, it was good.
Did you? So you play baseball sometimes in front of 40,000 people? I would imagine be a little nerve-wracking. More nervous for a big game against the Dodgers or for your wedding?
I wasn't nervous at all for the wedding.
Really? Not at all.
More excited than anything.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good. That's when you know you got a good one. Yeah,
Yes.
that's when you know you got a good one, man.
Yeah.
So I always ask you this, I think, at the beginning of every, we getting into spring training in a couple of weeks. What has been kind of your focus, outside of that, baseball-wise, what's your focus in the offseason?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is, this is going to be my 6th year, getting older, and it's just developing and continuing to grow. And as your body ages and you change and finding new ways to continue to get better, whether that's on the offensive side or the defensive side, changing your swing to make it more efficient and make it better so that throughout the course of the year you can remain more consistent and be a better player.
How much of a tinkerer are you with your swing? Do you tinker in season? Do you tinker mostly in the off season?
You're making adjustments constantly throughout the year. Just things are going differently. You're facing different teams. They're adjusting to you, so you have to adjust to them. But in the off season, you have that 4 or 5 month period of time that you can really go in every day and really work on changing things and making things more efficient, consistent, so that from spring training's a period to work and learn your new swing and see if it works right and make adjustments there. But from that opening day until the last game of the season, whenever that is, you want it to be the most consistent and efficient as you possibly can.
Jake, you've always been a guy, just whatever you need. First, second, short, just put me out there. Pitch, catch. No one's let you do that yet, but you keep asking.
This is the year. I got a good feeling. This is the year we see you tell the slam
But
again.
with Ha-Seong Kim moving on, looks like Xander plays short. Have you been told anything like, hey, get more ready at second, get more ready at first? What's kind of the off-season instructions for Jake Cronenworth heading into spring training?
I'll let Shildt get into that when you guys have him on, but I prepare the same way every offseason. I usually take a ton of ground balls like I'm playing second, but because I can always transition to first or wherever else they need me. But that's kind of the main focus, and just making sure that's always ready to go.
Do you prefer one over the other?
I think I've always preferred second, just because that's where I've probably played the most.
But you don't have to move as much playing first. First is way better.
We're
lazy people. We can't understand.
You do run a lot at first base.
And I noticed your, we talked about last year your adjustment way more off the bag, and you snatched so many hits away from guys in that. Traditionally, though, is it easier on your body playing first? It's less. There's still thinking that goes in, but middle infield is.
Yeah, but I enjoy playing defense.
Yeah.
So, as we always talk about, there's always a way to win the game. You may not win it at the plate that night, but you can win it on defense or make a play that helps you win in the ninth or early in the game or turn to double play or whatever it may be. So, I enjoy that aspect a lot.
Sure, 100%. Talking to Jake Cronenworth here, we talked to after the season. We talked to Shildt, and you run out of stuff to talk about, so you start just kind of speculating and thinking about, man, you think back to last year and how it ended specifically. And we made the comparison in football, basketball, other sports where you're like, you know what? Our goal line defense needs to improve if we're going to win a Super Bowl. So we're just going to run it 1,000 times. With baseball, it's like this weird thing where just all of a sudden everything goes cold. Everybody goes cold. Everybody goes cold at the same time. You can't really even work on it in the offseason, right? It's just, again, it's the worst explanation, but that's what happens in baseball sometimes.
That's the game, and that's why we come back every year and try and have the same goal for us to go to the World Series and hopefully win it. And that's, you work all in the offseason, you work in spring training, you play all those games leading up to that moment, and, when it doesn't work out, it sucks and it drives you more.
Yeah.
And you hopefully can get there one day, but that's always the ultimate goal, and I think that's what keeps everybody coming back every year, hungry, and as a team.
But it's like you can't run, hey, I'm just going to run the fade with this guy 100 times until we get it down.
Perfect.
You played hockey.
You can't really perfect
You
baseball.
can't really perfect baseball, and that's the thing that makes fans, and I think, anybody watching, and you guys too, it's got to make you a little bit insane at times if you let it.
Yeah, because you're one hit away, you're one pitch away, and when that doesn't happen, it sucks.
It sucks.
I did hear Shilt's working on the tush push, though, just make it unstoppable this year.
I hope not, actually. That's not something I ever want to imagine.
So go back, to the end of the season, Game 5. I was there in the clubhouse, the visiting clubhouse that night. Somber affair, obviously. How long does it take? As your days go by, I didn't see you after that, but what's the process of emotionally recovering from a disappointing end like that?
Yeah, that one was hard. Not just for me, but for the entire group, because we were so close. Not just not close where we were in the postseason, but close as a team. That was one of the funnest years, if not the funnest I've had in a long time. 22 is great, but this team was so close, and we battled and fought so much throughout the season, and everybody was a contributor. So I think that's what made it so hard. Don't watch the rest of the playoffs, and then when it's over and you get to Thanksgiving, it's kind of like, move on.
Yeah, so you didn't watch not a pitch. I don't know if I could or I couldn't. I don't think I'd be able to either.
So, obviously every team's different, but it's not like football where you're coming back with, a completely different set of groups, or college basketball or something. A lot of the same guys are coming back, same manager, same coaching staff, essentially. Can there be any carryover, as opposed to last year when, you had Shildt in for the first time and things had to be kind of built from scratch? Is it a little bit, you feel like a head start this year?
No, I think 100%. I think as you guys seen and a lot of the fans, like there's been a lot of turnover in the last 5 years. New players, new coaching staff, and whether or not the manager stays, there's new coaches everywhere. And this is really the first year I've been here where the same coaching staff, the same group of players, outside of a few that aren't returning, but that's typical for every club.
Sure.
No, I think we found out who we were as a club last year, and we know what we need to do to win. And those guys that were there are coming back, and we still have an incredible team. We have an awesome coaching staff, incredible fans, and I think we're all just as excited or even more excited than we were going into spring last year.
And it's, look, I know you guys want to compete, and do you guys? I said it on the air yesterday, and maybe you can answer this question for us. But I saw you and Toddy and Arise walking through the infield and smiling, and I go, that little thing just gave me this shred. Baseball players are good at compartmentalizing, and I'm not worried about what LA did this offseason. They're always going to spend money. They're always going to add good pieces. Other teams as well. The division's going to be a bear. I mean, teams are improving, but knowing the makeup of you guys, how excited are you guys to get out there and beat them?
Yeah, I think you see what other teams are doing, and we've been there in the past.
Sure.
In 22, 23, 21, we're always adding players, but the group we have is so close, and not just close, but they're really good players.
Yeah, very good.
I mean, from the whole infield's coming back, Jackson, Toddy, and the catchers. It's still a very, very good team.
Who's your last one for me? Because we're going to see him at spring training. We've already burned through all of our spring training material with him, and I don't.
We can have a fun show in spring training.
Yeah, we'll just talk about movies or something. I don't know. We have 3 weeks to come up with new material. Who is? And I was so happy to see Michael King all that get resolved yesterday because I just don't know if I can love watching a pitcher more. But when Joe's healthy, Michael King, Yu Darvish, who's your favorite to play defense behind?
I think they're all so unique in their own right, where you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
So it's fun every night when that guy takes the mound and you're behind him, especially with how much I love playing defense, to see how they operate and to see how they execute their game plan. And sometimes I'll sit on their meetings and listen to them, and they're all so different. Where Darvish is doing something completely different than King compared to Dylan. Dylan just wants to strike everybody out.
Yeah.
Joe's the guy who's going to, he could go 7 strong or
Gets
8 strong,
balls,
and he could be unhittable, or he could grind through 5 or 6, and he finds a different way to get there. No, it's exciting, and they know what they have that night, what they don't have that night, and the communication between us and them. It's just a testament to the group and how close we are.
Yeah, 100%.
Before you go, Jake, I want to ask you about yesterday. Padres in the community.
Yeah.
Saw all the different events. What stood out to you? What was one of your favorite parts?
Yeah, that's always
yesterday?
one of my favorite days. This is great because we're at the stadium and it kind of gets you back in that mode. But yesterday, it's just, you go to a school or, they kind of split us up and you get to go to different places and, see different people. But to be able to go to a school and see the kids and how excited they are, and then to be able to go to, the fire station and, what those guys do for our city. And, they're telling us they're coming to opening day and they come to games throughout the year. It's cool because they show us love and support throughout the year. And to give that back to them, I think that means the most to us.
Jake Cronenworth is one of the Padres here today at FanFest. Let's give him a big cheer. Looking forward to spring training. Jake, we'll see you out next month.
Absolutely.
If you're in Arizona, but have a fun time. And
enjoy your bowl.
Enjoy your serving bowl. Serving bowl, courtesy of Ben
We'll
and
add it to the 10 others.
Yeah, perfect.
There we go. Jake Cronenworth with Ben and Woods this morning. And the more I hear from these guys, Frank, the more I get excited about this season. And I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, and I don't even care if I'm drinking the Kool-Aid because they're saying all the things that I need to hear. And I guess, when we think about the Dodgers doing what they're doing, and by the way, I guess Shohei Ohtani's going to pitch in May. That's what they're saying.
Good for him.
When we see what the Dodgers are doing, I asked Joe about this, Joe Musgrove. It makes me angry. Another guy? Really? They're going to get another guy? But these guys, they believe in themselves so much that they don't think about it like that. And I think I have to put myself in that headspace.
Oh, and that's why you don't read into these things the way fans
I read into
usually
everything.
do. You can't do that because then you do what you did all winter, which is drive yourself absolutely insane, get yourself in a fit. Like this season's going to be a disaster, And it's not going to fall apart. You're not going to become a 60-some-odd win team like you were in the mid-2010s. It's just not going to happen. This team is too good.
I agree with that. They're just like a few pieces away, like a few pieces away from being a whole team. And that, I think, is what we need to keep in focus going through spring training. Because I said this last night on the Scraby Show, thanks to the Jesse Agler newsletter, jesseagler.substack.com if you want to sign up for it. But he said 12 of the guys on the team at the end of last year were not on the team, or they were not on the 40-man roster before spring training last year. So 12 players of like the 26 players were not on the roster. So that tells you how much time and how much effort, AJ is going to expend to try to get this roster set. And all offseason, Frank, all I did was say, Roki Sasaki, come on over. And he didn't. And Manny Machado, I don't know if you still have this clip open, but Manny Machado said something earlier that really caught my attention. And it was about Roki Sasaki. And he was asked, and Frank, you can let me know when you're ready, he was asked about whether or not the ownership stuff that's going on right now factored into Roki Sasaki's decision. He's getting it. I put him on the spot. I didn't tell him this was going to happen.
Ownership in the future, you think that affected your chances of rookie at all?
I don't think so. I think he had his mindset already where he was going. That's just my opinion.
So you thought he was going to LA all along?
Yeah.
Time for 1 or 2 more guys when you met him and hosted him.
I just I don't know, just a gut feeling, I guess I will say.
That is what I wanted to hear right there. Manny Machado said it, and I love it that he said it, because then I don't feel like I'm just making up things. Because he actually shook the guy's hand. He actually met the guy. He actually stood there with the guy. You could tell sometimes. And it's unfortunate that it went that way, but hey, we move forward.
And that's all you can do. You can't sit here and lament over the fact that he went to L.A. It's, all right, we didn't get him, so now we got to figure out what to do without him. It's not like it's hard. We've gone, 50-some-odd years without Roki Sasaki, so one more year without him isn't going to hurt. So
it's
got to figure out a way. Got to find a way.
They're going to figure out a way, and I feel like that's going to be somewhat of an extra chip on the shoulder. Even if it's not like a chip that means anything, it's still a chip on the shoulder. You need something to motivate you during the season. Not that these guys really need a lot to motivate them during the season, but Manny Machado saying that he felt like Roki Sasaki already made his decision before everything was said and done. All right, Frank, I think we have like a couple more minutes left. Everybody is starting to file. 2 minutes. We're starting to file out of Petco Park. Kids are still running the bases. People are still in the outfield. I would say this has been a rousing success, and I would say that this tells everyone that Padres baseball is still alive and well in San Diego. It doesn't matter.
No, as it should be. There's no reason. There was absolutely no reason to be concerned about this team over the offseason. It looked a lot worse because everyone around you was getting better. But it's not a bad team. It's really, really not. It's going to be a team that is going to be competent all season long. You should be confident that they will be competent all year long and will be making a push for the playoffs. I would say that's almost a lock.
Nice job on the wordplay. Final thought from me, and then I'm going to thank some people, and we're going to get out of here. But Jake Cronenworth said in that interview, he said, I've never had so much fun playing baseball like I did last year. 22 was fun. 24 was better. We were close. We were a close team. You know what the difference in that, Frank, was between 22 and 24?
Different manager, fan base.
Juan Soto.
Oh, stop it.
I'm not going to say it was him. Jake did not say that. I am reading between the lines here. I'm going to do that. Jake never said that. But, Jake's here at FanFest. Juan Soto missed his FanFest, or missed his flight to the FanFest. All of that stuff. Frank is upset with me right now, which I don't blame him for. All right, thank you to everyone for making this happen today. Special thank you to Frank Marchese for holding it down all 6 hours on the board. Thank you to Adam Klug. He was all over Petco Park getting audio. Michael Valenzuela, Jeff Hamby, Presley Dubois, Aiden, and Clay. For Ben and Woods, Paul Reindl, Annie and Elston, Braden Sopranet, Tony Wood Jr., and Chris Ello, I guess. I'm Matt Scraby. Thank you for joining us for Padres FanFest 2025 on 97.3 The Fan. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody.